What's up everybody, and welcome on back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. For those who do not know me, hello, my name is Monet. I am 28 years old, and here on this channel I share my financial journey. I have been documenting everything pertaining to my finances for the past 5 years, and everything can be found on my channel. I started this with the desire to get myself out of debt, and now it has just become a lifestyle of me just trying to be financially responsible. So that is what I aim to do within this channel in these videos, is to encourage and motivate others, to let them know that it is possible. And if you just enjoy watching that type of content, I would also appreciate you subscribing, and make sure you hit the bell so that you will always notified whenever I upload my next video. So within today's video, hopefully it's just a quick one, I am just going to sit down and share with you the money that I've spent with my new move. So if you aren't aware, I recently just moved from Ohio to Florida, and I am going to give a full breakdown of how much that costs for me to do that. So if you're interested in seeing all that, then of course just keep on watching. All right, so over here I have my iPad, and this is going to list down everything of what I spent so I don't forget anything. But just to set the scene, the goal that I set for myself is that I did not want to go above my budget. So I initially put aside $5,000 for this move. I've been saving that for about a year and some months, with the possible idea that I might have been moving from where I previously was. So that is what I was sticking to, and I did not want to go beyond that. At the end of the day, I did go beyond that, but when I was making all of my decisions, that was always in the back of my mind, to try and not go beyond this $5,000 limit. So let's just go ahead and get started with some of the listing of things that I had to pay for. Okay. So the first thing that I have listed here of the total money that I spent was everything regarding my moving supplies. So this is going to be any boxes, any tape. I had to get a lock for my moving truck. We had bubble wrap, we had saran wrap. So all of those little things that just add up with anything pertaining to moving supplies. Oh, and I also purchased my own moving blankets, so that all of my furniture, all of those things that you guys saw wrapped within the furniture and like the little rubber bands that go around them, that I purchased myself. So ultimately all of that was $615, which is kind of like an idea of what I thought I was going to spend, so that wasn't too bad. After that, I paid $158 for a hotel. With me moving for such a long distance, my mom and my best friend were helping me out, and we weren't going to be able to do a whole 15-hour drive in one day. So I split that up, and I booked us a hotel so that we can at least rest for one day and then get back on the road. With that in mind, I also did pay for my mom's flight, her to come to me and to go back home. So ultimately I paid $206 for the flight for my mom. And before anybody makes a comment about me paying for my mom's flight and not my best friend's flight, my best friend decided to come very last minute. I bought my mother's ticket way in advance, and I was going through a lot, so my best friend just sporadically said like she was going to fly down and help me, and she was going to pay for it because she already saw that I was a mess. So that is why I didn't pay for her. I did offer to pay, but she said no, she is going to pay for it because she saw I was under distress and she wanted to help me out. Next, I had to pay for movers, because initially when I came up with the idea of wanting to move, I wanted someone else to do it. I wanted to hire movers. I wanted them to drive the truck and do all these things. And it's a very long story that I don't want to get too much into because it's still just a little traumatic, but basically, I was quoted a price that I thought I was going to pay to do all of that. And by the time it actually came to fruition of me having to pay for the movers and the truck and all that stuff, the number was very much different than what I was told. And because the number was now told so last minute, it was basically like 3 weeks I had until I had to move. So it's not like I could go to a different person or a different company and try and get them to hire for movers, because now the time was so close, and I was moving in summer, which is just, they jack up prices for everything in the summer. So at the end of the day, once he quoted me the price, I said forget it, and then I just had to scramble to figure out on my own how I was going to get it done, because I wasn't going to pay the number that he was quoting, because the number that they quoted me was the whole $5,000 and more of my budget, and I wasn't doing that. I could not do that. I was like, I'm just gonna have to deal with it myself, and we'll just go ahead and push through. So with that now in mind, I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently on U-Haul they have this thing called labor movers, and basically it's like they outsource a third party of movers who can help you take stuff out of your apartment and put it on a truck, or they can take it off the truck and put it in your apartment. So that is what I decided to do, was utilize some labor movers for Ohio to pack up my truck, and then labor movers to take off my things in Florida and put my items in the storage unit. So the cost for the labor movers within Ohio was $245, and then the cost for the labor movers in Florida was $295. So this is without tip. I did tip the actual movers during the process, and I took that out of like separate money that was just cash that I had on hand for me, but for them to do the actual service, that was the cost for that, which I didn't think was too bad, you know, all things considered. I feel like the bulk of the pay that these moving companies are trying to charge you is for the drive yourself. So if you do drive the truck, you do save a lot of money, but I just was not in the camp at that time to just dish out all that money. I was trying to stay on budget, as I said. So with that, I also purchased a storage unit, as I said, and for the first month's rent, I did go ahead and take that out of my budget that I put aside for moving, and that was $195 for the storage unit. That was first month's rent. They charged me for the lock, and then I think just like a setup fee or something like that. So it initially came to $195, but that is not how much I pay for my storage unit each month. So then we get into the big guy, what I knew was going to be the most money that I was gonna have to spend, and that is of course my moving truck. So initially I thought I was going to be able to fit everything within a 16-foot moving truck, and that 16-foot truck was only, I believe, like $1,600, and I initially purchased that, and with that amount, that was going to keep me in budget and, you know, under my $5,000, so I was happy. But when my mom actually came and we went in person to look at a 16-foot truck, and my mom was like, yeah, I don't think all your stuff is gonna fit in this 16 truck, so you might have to get a bigger truck. And I was in denial. I didn't want to accept it. I was like, no, it's all gonna fit, it's all gonna fit. It wasn't gonna fit because I had to drive this truck, and I've never driven even a 16-foot truck, so the thought of having to drive a bigger truck just stressed me out. But ultimately I had no choice, so I had to get a bigger truck, which was a 22-foot Penske truck is what I ultimately got, and the total for all of that was $3,352. So yeah, it was like I had to do what I had to do, so I had to get the truck, and that's what I did, and that was the total for it. So then the other remaining things that I had to do was pay for the tolls on the truck, and I set aside $30 for the tolls on the truck because I had to drive the moving truck, and then my mom was driving my actual car. So I also had to pay tolls on my car, and I have an Easy Pass, so I just put $25 for the Easy Pass on my car, and I took out $30 for the tolls on the truck. Now ultimately, when I got to Florida, they have the tolls where you can't pay physical cash, so they're gonna mail me whatever the tolls is later. So I'm still waiting for the notice because I know I'm gonna still have to pay tolls on that Penske truck. But I took out $30 and I spent in cash, like on the drive, about $15. So then the remaining $15 I just have set to the side somewhere until Penske comes back to me and tells me how much I owe them for the tolls on the truck. And then not only did you have to pay tolls on the truck, but then of course you have to fill up gas on the car. So gas to fill the truck for all of the trips and dropping it off was $340 in total I spent within that category, which I thought was going to be worse because that truck took diesel. So I had to pay diesel prices, which was But shout out to my mama. She was so nice and she paid the gas on my car. So I did set money aside thinking I was gonna have to pay gas on my car, but ultimately my mama was like, don't worry about it. She paid for the gas, which was great. But in total, you guys, that is everything for the move. And the total cost for all of that came to $5,462. So as I said, I had $5,000 set aside. So I put that straight towards my move. And then the remaining $462 I pulled from like my paycheck, the actual money that I was receiving. So in total, you know, not bad. But as I said, in order for me to stay in budget, I had to do a lot of the manual labor, and this move was not easy. So if you are prepared to do the work, just know you saving money from not using a moving company, you are gonna put in the work for that. But at that time, because it is just myself and just, you know, me trying to support myself, I didn't have the luxury of just saying, you know, just paying movers and telling them to do it. So I had to do the most budget conscious route. But in total, you guys, that is everything for what I spent to move. Hopefully that answers some questions, and for people that was interested in knowing how much everything was. If I forgot anything or if you have some additional questions, please be sure to leave those down in the comments below and I will answer that. But that is all I have for today. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time within my next video. Bye guys.